There seem to be a number of concerns regarding management lurking in the workplace, looking over your shoulder, watching you while you're doing what you're doing, and this makes you uneasy as a worker, and it enables the manager to sort of take the opportunity of just being there to possibly fall prey to the temptation of violating your scope clauses. In other words, doing work that they know that they are not supposed to do. Contractually and legally, they're not supposed to do it. But they also know that the grievance process works not with glacial speed the way that it used to, but it still takes time. You cannot stop them from breaking your scope. You can't stop them from doing your work. And when they give you an unreasonable directive, I always tell people to do as they say, regardless of what it is, as long as it's not dangerous to you. You can refuse that. But if they tell you to do something, even if it seems slightly outrageous, best thing for you to do is to do as they say. Hopefully there's witnesses around. Remember who those witnesses were, and write it down. Make sure that you record everything that took place. Make sure the manager knows that you're writing everything down, and that there's going to be hell to pay for this if they've told you to do something absurd. Or even if they're asking you, or ordering you, I guess, to work through your breaks. Just let them know, I'm watching what you're doing, and I'm going to see if this has become part of your management strategy. I'm keeping tabs on you. I'm watching every last thing that you do, and every time that you violate the scope clauses of the collective agreement, I'm going to record it all. Record it in whatever way you see fit to do so. Make sure that the manager knows that you're recording it, because that way you have, in a sense, slightly taken the initiative there, because they don't know what you're going to do with that information. They suspect what you're going to do with it, but they can't be sure. You may be actually just filing it away for future reference. You may be preparing a grievance against them. It doesn't matter really at that point. The main thing is they know that you're watching them and recording everything that they do. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. You're not. It isn't even a gesture of defiance. It's just to sort of say, okay, I see what's happening here, and I just want to keep records. Now that looks like a pretty wimpy thing to do, considering what they are doing, taking down their names. So, well, if that doesn't work, if that doesn't get them to cease and desist, then you may have to go further with the records that you have so meticulously kept. First of all, they will be necessary with the grievance. Managers don't like being grieved. Managers might even actually have received a more or less unofficial directive to do what they are now doing, i.e. violating your scope clauses, lurking around the workplace, micromanaging, that kind of thing. They may have been told to do this under threat of discipline themselves. So keeping records of what they're doing isn't going to get them to back off, but it will make them feel a little bit sandwiched between you and their boss. And they might want to be a little bit more circumspect when dealing with you. Now, there was some concern here on this forum about officers not being willing to carry forth grievances. I don't think an officer should ever take that tack, but sometimes I guess apparently it does happen. Well, if you repeatedly have brought something to your union officer's attention and you're not getting the response you want, it's infinitely harder for a union officer to ignore a bunch of carefully compiled records than it is for them to ignore you storming into their office and venting at them. I'm not saying that it isn't human to vent. I vent all the time. My volcanic temper is legendary. But at the end of the day, what do you want? You want the manager in question to back the hell off. They won't do that until you make them do it. It's unfortunate, but that's the fact of the matter. You can make them do it by making them not want to be hauled in front of an arbitrator, not wanting to be grieved, not wanting to have to answer for what they've done, especially if you've caught them red-handed with witnesses and whatever records you necessarily have kept. And as I say, if you have a problem with a union officer not responding to you, watch their eyes go like this when you hand them a little binder with carefully put together notes. You may not have to do this. Your union officer, 9 times out of 10, in my opinion, is more than happy to grieve them. But nothing motivates a union officer more than the perception that their members are more diligent, conscientious, meticulous, and determined than they are. You don't have to scream to get your way. You just have to lean on people a bit.